Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Nile, and this is NBA Weekly, the show where once a week, usually on Saturdays, I'll talk about some of the stuff that happened last week in the league and talk about a few things I look forward to in the coming week. So some of the big stories, first of all, Linsanity went off in LA and the Lakers finally got their first and only win of the season. And then, despite Anthony Davis continuing to put on an MVP performance and Ryan Anderson hitting 8 3-pointers, the Cavs managed to grab a win thanks in no small part to Lebron James, who had his first triple-double of the season, which was then taken back because the league reviewed the tape and they decided to take away one of his assists. So he did not have a triple-double. But he and Chris Paul on the same night were one assist short of a triple-double. So they have that in common. And then Michael Carter-Williams this week, he finally started playing. And his first game of the season, he leads the team in basically every category. And they lose by 50 points. And then the very next night, they almost beat the Rockets. But, well, almost doesn't count. They're still completely winless on the season. But just think about it. You're going to have the first overall draft pick again. And also, I just want to mention really quickly, I think Rondo deserves to be named MVP because he actually made the Celtics look like a good team for like 3 quarters. The Grizzlies, they lost their first game of the season, so there are no longer any undefeated teams in the league. But they still sit at the top of the league. They are tied with the Rockets for the first place overall with an 8-1 record. And in the Eastern Conference, you've got the Bulls and Raptors, who are both 7-2. And I just find it funny that everyone has been saying for that Rose, his health is the key to their success. But he's played like 2 games this season, and yet they've still managed to start 7-2. They've got a very good, very deep roster. Rose definitely makes them better. I wish he could stay healthy, but even without him, they're still good enough to be a top 3 team in the East. And some big milestones have happened. LeBron James has now made more free throws than Hakeem Olajuwon. He is now 22nd on the all-time list. And he sits right behind Tim Duncan, who's at number 21. Duncan's got about 200 more free throws than him. But he's also been playing twice as long. So, LeBron, I think it's only a matter of time. And then you've also got Kobe. He became the 3rd player in NBA history to make over 8,000 free throws. And then Paul Gasol now has over 1,500 career blocks. Dirk Nowitzki now has more career points than Hakeem Olajuwon. He takes over as the number 9 on the all-time list. Congrats. I hate your guts, Dirk. But that's only because we play you so often. I respect the skill. He is now the highest scoring player ever born not in America. It's foreign country is what I was trying to say. I'm not good with words sometimes. Yeah. And then Tim Duncan, we mentioned his name earlier. He's had quite a few milestones this week. He had his 800th career double-double, and he now has, I think, 801 by my net count. He's played in over 1,200 career games. 800 of them he's had double-doubles. So that's approximately 2 out of every 3 games that he plays. That's pretty decent that you can maintain such a great level for so long. He also became just the 11th player in NBA history with 14,000 career rebounds. The only active player with more than him is Garnett. And Tim Duncan also has over 2,800 career blocks. He also became the 19th player in league history with 25,000 career points. If you didn't already know, Tim Duncan has a Hall of Fame resume, first ballot easily one of the greatest players of all time. He's just padding the stat sheet right now. Just keep fluffing up that resume, Big Timmy. You go, boy. And then some of the games to look forward to this weekend. In case you hadn't noticed this already, I'll go ahead and point it out. There are a ton of games being played. I'm just going to mention the ones that I think will be the most competitive, that I look most forward to seeing. On Saturday, There's the Hawks at the Cavs. These are both playoff-bound teams. One of them isn't talked about enough, and one of them is talked about too damn much. And then you've also got the Spurs at the Kings, and if the Spurs have one weakness, it's the post. They don't have a lot of size or strength in the interior, and so DeMarcus Cousins worries me a little bit because he's been tearing it up this year. And then you've got the Suns at the Clippers. Phoenix has surprised some people by their play this year, while the Clippers have been painfully inconsistent, but I still think they have talent. It's only a matter of time before they turn it around. Sunday, you've got the Rockets at the Thunder, and considering how much they've had to go through with all the injuries and shit that they've had to fight through, the Thunder have actually played pretty well. But the Rockets have only lost one game this season, and it's when Dwight Howard sat out. So, and then you've also got the Warriors at the Lakers. You know, there are a lot of great guard matchups in this game. You've got the battle of two California teams, so I think it's one that a lot of people might be interested in. Plus, there's not a lot going on Sunday. It's a football day. You know, until the football season is over, I don't really watch much basketball on Sundays. And I think the league knows this. And on Monday, you've got the Rockets at the Grizzlies, the matchup of the two top teams in the Western Conference. You know, Dwight Howard and Marc Gasol, two Defensive Player of the Year winners. So this will be a fun battle to watch. You've also got some great guard play. You know, James Harden, Mike Conley. There's a lot of great stuff going on in this one. Then you've got the Pelicans at the Blazers, a matchup between two of the top power forwards in the league, the seasoned veteran for LaMarcus Aldridge, and then you've got the young upstart who's making a case for an MVP, in Anthony Davis. This one could go down to the wire. And then you've got the Bulls and Clippers, and these two teams have possibly the best front courts in the league, at least in my opinion. You know, you've got Gasol, Noah, and Gibson versus like Griffin, Jordan, and Hawes. And you've also got, of course, CP3, an MVP candidate. And even if Derrick Rose doesn't play, you've still got Jimmy Butler, who's not talked about nearly enough. He's got a very talented young man. Then on Tuesday, there's only one game that interests me enough that I'd actually look at it, and that's the Pelicans at the Kings. You've got two of the best young big men in the league with Cousins and Davis, and I expect both of them to be starters at the All-Star game, and I think you're going to see some explosive rim-rocking plays in this one. I think there are going to be quite a few highlight reel plays. And then on Wednesday, you've got a few good matchups. Spurs at Cavs, LeBron getting the chance to face off against a team that beat him in the finals twice. You've got Mavericks at Wizards. These teams basically have the same record, but it's funny because the Wizards are at the top of their division while the Mavs are third in theirs. It's fun to see just so much of a difference between the Eastern and Western conferences. And then you've got the Grizzlies at the Raptors, and as of writing this, these are the number one seeds in their respective conferences. Actually, no, the Raptors are number 2, aren't they? Yeah, because they lost to the Bulls, didn't they? So, either way, I mean, the potential finals preview, you never know. This early in the season, it's too hard to talk about. We shouldn't be talking about playoffs. But I'm just saying, these are two of the top teams in their conferences, so this one should be a good matchup. Then on Thursday, only 2 games being played, but they both seem interesting enough. You've got Clippers at the Heat. The Heat have started very well, while the Clippers, they've struggled, to say the least. But by the end of the season, I expect the Clippers to have a much better record than the Heat. And I really, really look forward to seeing Jordan lay some whoop ass on that soft motherfucker Chris Bosh. And then you've got the Bulls at the Kings, Cousins and Noah, and Gasol. Oh, Cousins versus Noah and Gasol. What? So you've got Cousins versus Noah and Gasol. There might be a duel between Butler and Gay. I want to see them go head to head. The Kings are an underrated team this year, and they're worth paying close attention to. That's why I'm trying to mention them as often as I can in this one. And then on Friday, you've got the Cavs at Wizards. You've got two of the best young point guards in the league. Emphasis on the best young. I'm not saying they're the top 2 guys, but in their age group, they're definitely close to elite. You've got so Irving and Wall. The battle between them alone will be enough to watch. But you've also got Nene and Love. That'll be an interesting one to watch. And then you got Bulls at Blazers. Both of these teams are very strong in the middle with good guard play, and it'll be an interesting matchup. Well, that's it for this edition of NBA Weekly. Tune in next week for another brand new edition. But until then, this has been the Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. I hope you have a good week.